Babe, giddy up. I hope you're ready to trot away and get your saddle and boots. Because today we're talking about a big revival of a video game. And this is not your regular review of 2025 Barbie Horse Trails. Oh no, Barbie. Because this is coming from a seasoned Barbie expert with proven knowledge of iconic Barbie video games from the past. I have proof, Your Honor. I swear, I can prove it. I mean, head to the Drama House livestream tab and you will spot them right there. Barbie Fashion Show, Barbie Beauty Boutique, and to go back to today's video, Barbie Horse Adventures Mystery Ride. Because I am pretty sure that in the Drama House audience, I can absolutely spot my Barbie girlies and my horse girlies. I know you're there, so let your presence be heard in the comments, diva.
Give me an F-I-E-R-C. E. That is fierce, honey.
And honestly, I found out about this new Barbie horse game from the cozy community, actually. And people were starting to get excited about the release of a promising revival. Before release, if you checked the description of the game, you might have thought, I want to give it a try. I mean, a new open-world adventure, gallop through wildflower fields and other beautiful landscapes. From the cozy cabins to the lively campsite, there's plenty to unlock and discover. I mean, I bet that some The Sims 4 players, who I remember getting very excited when Horse Adventures was announced, probably had the Barbie game in their Steam wishlist. I mean, I wasn't excited when the Horse Adventures... Wait, is it called Horse Adventure? Horse Ranch. Horse Ranch. What is The Sims Horse Adventures? Sorry. Horse Ranch. But yeah, I wasn't excited when it was announced because I was already separated from The Sims back then, and I still wishlisted Barbie Horse Trails, honestly. Also because, I don't know, the look of it had something nostalgic about it. It truly reminded me of the 2003 Barbie Horse Adventures Mystery Ride game. So I was curious to read more about the game, and eventually I read some reviews to understand if the game was worth buying. Barbie Horse Trails was released on October the 10th, 2025, so by the time of me writing and recording the video, it's been a couple of weeks since it came out. But honey, reviews are already in, and so is the game's price tag. And yes, I would tell you to skip directly to my game review at this minute. But I kind of think it's important for you to know that this video game is currently listed for 39.99 euros on Steam in Europe. Reviews, I think it's fair to check them out later after you've had a look for yourself, but I think we need to keep the launch price in mind because, well, I feel that, at least in my case, the price of a video game should somehow influence my expectations before playing it. I can't be mad if I pay $5.99 on Steam for a video game and it doesn't check all the perfect game boxes. As long as it checks out the fun gameplay one, I'll be happy. And it often happens that you play an indie game and you feel the value you paid for is fair, or even that you got it for a bargain considering how well the game is executed. But honestly, a video game listed for 40 euros at launch, or better, even better, a Barbie video game, seemingly evocative of titles from the past, comes out and it's 40 euros? You either get very excited for it or you get upset.
Okay. Whatever that means. It's getting weird.
So yes, I will be mentioning the quality in proportion to the price tag as well. Also because I noticed how many interested players were wondering about the game online, in public forums, and I guess also hoping to see creators covering this. And yes, Barbie, I'm at your service. Alright, so I'm gonna give an overall score to 4 different categories: gameplay, graphics, sounds, and music. And yes, honey, the hat is here to stay, so I'm gonna keep it on. But yeah, I was saying we have 4 different categories: gameplay, graphics, sounds, and music, and value for price. And then based on the average of each score, we will get the final one and I guess my final verdict. I am gonna reference the older games if that comparison is useful for this review, but I will not explore the details of the original games. So if that's something that you would like to watch, a little deep dive on why those titles are still being talked about today, I'd love to do it. So just let me know in the comments, babe. Let's start with the gameplay, my favorite category, because like I said before, a game may not have my favorite graphics, but if the gameplay is rich and good, that will definitely matter in my opinion of that game. Also, I have a feeling that this might be the longest category that I will cover, because after finishing the game, honey, I have so many opinions. Yes, you have my permission to just go ahead, roll another one, babe, because we're gonna be in here for a while, so just go ahead. And also because my first thought when I actually started playing the game was that some of these Barbies in the game, they were stoned, honey. And good for them.
Especially the wild horses living here. We want to be able to provide them with a beautiful, thriving home forever.
So let's take it from the beginning. You start the game and as expected, go through your character customization process. First, you're asked to choose your Barbie between 2 characters named Brooklyn and Malibu. I wasn't too turned off by this, as it's normal from my experience to play as Barbie in a Barbie video game rather than, playing as myself. But I did expect some sort of customization of the character, which did not happen. It does happen later in the game though, so we'll go back to it. Just put a pin on it. What you do get to customize at the beginning is your horse, which of course I appreciate. The customization though is not very extensive. I was really hoping they would let you make a magical pink horse or something, but unfortunately this is the best I could come up with. It still looks like a Barbie horse, so I can say I was happy with my creation.
A few moments later.
In retrospect, I have to say, I do think that the game might have worked better if they had given you the chance to make your own Barbie character and customize her at the beginning of the game. And I know that I'm backpedaling, but I'm saying this just because of this scene, which happens basically at the end of the game's initial tutorial part.
I'm looking for Barbie?
Hi, that's us. We're both Barbie. We have the same name, so we call each other by nicknames when we're both in the same room.
That's right. I'm Malibu and she's Brooklyn. Is there something we can help you with?
No, honey, I do understand that this is how the target audience would recognize Barbie today from the show that they have. I don't know if that's still running because I'm not very familiar with it, but I do know that there are 2 Barbies in the show who are kind of the main characters together. And look, I'm absolutely okay with that. I just want to point out from the video game and just from the gaming experience part of it, the fact that they included this scene, which doesn't change anything in the story, is counterproductive. As you control one of the 2 Barbies, the other Barbie will act like a real secondary support NPC. Every time you're given a quest to go somewhere, Barbie will say she'll meet you there. You don't ride alongside her, she just shows up at the targeted location. And she does do certain things on her own, which is a better way to justify why she's not side by side with you through the story. It's just a better way than just saying, I will see you there, and never see her again for the next 30 minutes. But this specific dialogue takes me to the next point, which is storytelling of the game and its execution. So, honey, in my opinion, the game concept is cool. Certified cool. The idea is that the story develops as you complete quests that take you around the map, allowing you to ride your way through the whole park without any loading screen. You get a main quest and side quests, and you also have chests scattered around the world where you get free items and coins. The completion of the game is based on the main quest, but you can decide to invest some time in side quests whenever you want. Talking about time, time and days, they do pass in the game, and you do get to see daytime and nighttime. There aren't levels, but you do have a completion bar that shows you how many points you're collecting to reach the end of the main quest. And from what I gathered, side quests give you extra points. I mean, the only actual progression by level the game has to do with the horse. As you socialize with her, by feeding her and caring for her, you increase your level of horse bond, winning items and perks. Having set this structure the video game exists in, let's talk about the progression of this Barbie story. Okay, honey, let me tell you that I was considering whether I wanted to discuss the full story and give spoilers for the end of the game, but I have to tell you, it's just so underwhelming that it won't even make a big spoiler. And this point here, girl, the quality of the storytelling had me sighing and really bored me out of my mind as I was playing. And I know what you're thinking. You would probably ask me to go and check who the target audience is, implying the game is not supposed to be that deep, being for children and not for people my age. That would be fair if what I didn't like was the simplicity of the story, or the childlike tone of voice, or a possible lack of challenge in the game. Although I don't really appreciate that take, because even today, as a 29 plus 2 years old, I can sit and play Barbie fashion show for hours, honey. Like, if there is one mission that I want in my life, is to debunk this idea that Barbie video games are silly or boring or childish. It's a bad rap that they don't deserve, and they got it simply because the type of gameplay that they offer doesn't involve fighting. Okay, but when it comes to this video game's storytelling, which occupies a gigantic part of gameplay, what makes it boring isn't its simplicity. It's actually the opposite of that. You get these dialogue cutscenes with the NPCs where they talk and talk and talk and talk, and you, as the player, you have no saying in what's happening. It's not like you can decide what your Barbie says. So you just sit there as they over-explain everything. And no, it's not like they're over-explaining the quest instructions, for example, like in a tutorial way, which is what I would understand, especially if we consider the audience of this game to be children. But it's not it. They just talk a lot.
Well, since I was coming for such a nice long visit, I wanted to make sure I kept out from underfoot and used my spare time most effectively. I heard about the park and its wild horses and came running.
We can infer from the ingredients used to make the paint that the next best place to look for more artifacts is up in the Sequoia Valley Mountains.
I'm a documentarian through and through. I'm excited to learn everything there is to know about the park and then use photos and footage to tell its story. Now I just have to find the right lens, both literally and figuratively. Where did I put all of my lenses?
Yawning, sloppy, lazy.
So the idea of the story is that two Barbies are traveling to a California national park with blonde Barbie's dad, who is also a documentarian. So it seems that at first your goal is to simply help the dad collect B-roll footage for the documentary about the park that he's working on. And yes, I swear this is the truth. The game has you sitting there and explaining to you how the dad needs B-rolls. And yes, they do call them B-rolls. And how, for example, when he gives Barbie a camera, she mentions how more professional the camera is compared to her cell phone. But then these two Barbies pull out a totally obnoxious move by enrolling in everything they can do at the park. Basically, the volunteers and rangers of the park They tell us that the government has issued a federal fund only if the park is classified as a natural preserve, and that is, in reality, the main quest of the game and what drives the story forward. Both Barbies get hired as junior rangers in training by this ranger and Liz, whose entire personality is the fact that she's very nervous and battling her anxiety.
Well, as much as I'd love to, I've got to get back to my super fun mountain of paperwork. There's so much of it.
And Liz, my girl, these Barbies are doing everything around here. You can sit back and chill for a second, you know.
I don't know if you could tell, but I was having a really hard time adjusting to my new role here. But you made me feel like anything was possible.
Like I said, the story develops as you continue taking on quests, whether they're side or main quests, and you do that by talking to specific NPCs. The quests I enjoyed the most included very Barbie games-like activities like puzzles or picking outfits for photo shoots. I love those. But many quests basically involved finding items and bringing them back to a different place for a reward. I did appreciate how you had quests specific for the time of the day, like meeting this lady at nighttime to study the stars and the constellations, or photographing a lizard during the daytime. And of course, my favorite part of the game had to be riding around the map on the horse. It's nice to have an open map to discover, and it's not overwhelming at all, because you can pick which quest you're following from your journal and get a direction pin on screen that tells you how far away you are from the target location. It makes you enjoy the ride as you don't really need to worry about orienting yourself. But yes, there's a but, unfortunately. So here's the thing. In my first couple of hours in the game, I was following the quests and riding all the way through different places, which was fun and which was the best way, in my opinion, to play this game. I mean, if you're not playing this to ride the horse in a peaceful backdrop, why are you playing this game even, right? But the game's map does give you the possibility of using travel points, and I have to be honest, I only discovered this halfway through the gameplay because I really wasn't looking for it. And yes, I feel that the map may not be big enough to justify this, because if you do use travel points only, the gameplay time will reduce by a lot. And yes, it can happen that you reach a travel point and then still have to ride the horse to reach the specific NPC or location, but the distances are not that far away from each other. I'm not saying there shouldn't be travel points. I think they're useful, especially for certain quests, but I wish that, I don't know, I wish you had to reach like a physical portal rather than just clicking on a location on the map. It could have been a bit deeper in order to have you ride around and enjoy that part as well. Another thing that turned me off a little bit in terms of depth is how little the game utilizes the passing of time. I did mention how you do have a couple of quests that relate to the time of the day, and I did enjoy that, but I felt that for everything else, it doesn't really matter if it's day or night, because your Barbie and her horse can't physically rest anywhere, eat anything, or enter any buildings for that matter. Check this, in one side quest, we met this friend who asked us to get her almond butter as she needed it for a recipe. We went to the grocery store and there's a merchant outside of it because the building is not accessible. Then you purchase the butter and you bring the ingredient to your friend, and you don't even have any scenes that shows her, I don't know, cooking or anything like that. I'll give you another example. I mentioned earlier how you can't customize your Barbie at the beginning. The way you have to customize her hair and outfit is by receiving new items through chests or game rewards, which you encounter as you progress in the game. But if you want to have this makeover moment, you'll need to access what looks like a portable potty and enter the makeover screen. I know it might be silly, okay? But because the pace of the game is slow and kind of, cozy, I would have appreciated the possibility to have any type of shelter I could interact with. It would add a lot to the gameplay, even without being something super ambitious, you know? Like maybe you can send Barbie to either a kitchen or like a bedroom and have her make a meal in a cooking mama style, you know? I mean, come on, the Desperate Housewives video game had a mini cooking game. I don't think it would have been impossible to include this in the game. You do have also a shortcut to change from daytime to nighttime, and I just wonder why that couldn't be like a going to bed animation, for example. I did tell you the premise of the game's story, so basically from there you take all the possible tasks that you can find, and as you also work together with Dr. Green to retrieve some relics and realize that some wild horses that used to live in the park in the past are currently back there. And this is kind of the final big chapter, the one where you find these horses, which takes everyone to an alleged celebration. I haven't seen any party scene. We just took a so-called selfie with everyone that ended up looking like this. The ending happens when the park receives the confirmation of the federal fund and everyone is happy because now they have, more resources to sustain the well-being of all creatures at the park. And look, I feel that the heart of the story is good. It's educational and I'm not mad about it. As you progress in the game, you also learn facts about horses and other animals, which is definitely a positive point. I just think they could have done a little bit more with it, considering the game is entirely story-driven. It seems the entire reason why the Barbies are here is because they are on this trip with blonde Barbie's dad because of his documentary, which by the end of the game, he decides it's going to be about the story of how the park became a natural preserve and got the government money. But in reality, his presence is just there to push the player to take pictures around different spots of the world. Honey, let's delete that entire thing. What if, by the end of the game, one of the two Barbies figured, I don't know, she's loved taking pictures so much, she decided she will become a nature photographer or something. I just throw ideas out there sometimes, but the reality is, I was a bit bummed by the lack of, Barbie whimsy. The realness of the NPCs explaining a government fund was not that motivating enough for me. I just feel they overcomplicated the story, filling dialogues with words just to excuse the lack of different activities and make the gameplay a bit longer. I feel the premise could have simply been Barbie and Barbie go to this horse ranch or park just because, and they learn how the staff need their help as, I don't know, visitors are trashing the place and they are understaffed. I don't know. Maybe there's one part of the park that was destroyed and needs to be rebuilt or taken care of. Maybe there's like a government goon bothering the staff, threatening them to cut the funds for the park or something. And by the end, you get this scene where everybody recognizes the importance of these places and the preservation of protected species. This is why I said before that my criticism is not that the game is too childish, but it's actually a little bit too real. And I don't know how a child would honestly keep up with the length of these dialogues. It feels like the game wanted to cater to both younger audience and nostalgic millennials, but failed to find a sweet spot in the middle, making it kind of boring for both demographics. If I had to rate the gameplay without considering the story, I think I would give it a 6 out of 10. I appreciated the activities that reminded me of older games and their gameplay. I like the idea of the open map and the quests, even if I feel that it could have been richer and offered more things to do. And in terms of replayability, once you end the main quest, you can still roam around and take side quests. But if you want to start from the beginning, you will go through all the chunks of the main quest again. And I think you figured out that they were not my favorite thing, honey. That's why my score of the storytelling of the game, unfortunately, is a 4. I'm so sorry. But lengthy, unnecessary, complicated, and clearly watered down to make the gameplay last longer. Because yes, honey, even if you have a balance between riding from point A to B as opposite to always taking shortcuts through the map, you will finish the game in between 4 and 5 hours. And in this house, we believe that 40 euros for 5 hours of gameplay is unacceptable. Because of all these reasons, my rating for the gameplay is 5 out of 10. Alright, let's talk about the graphics now, because I think it's understandable to have certain expectations for this game. The art style, not the best. I really disliked the look Barbies have, especially as opposite to the other NPCs, which resemble more the original design from Barbie video games. But okay, that's my own personal taste. The thing though is that the graphics are kind of underwhelming. Like I mentioned, the game is filled with dialogue scenes, yet in those scenes the characters don't really emote, creating this constant unimpressed look, which absolutely crashes with the dialogue that they should be reacting to.
Yes, I'll go put it in right now. Meet me over at my laptop.
I can't handle the suspense. Hurry!
It's funny, yes, but it's something that could have been adjusted, you know? The horse riding animations are okay. I didn't experience any glitches when riding around, which is great, but again, the animations were limited. Pretty early on, I unlocked a horse action called jumping, yet I couldn't jump when I wanted. Jumping with the horse only happens apparently when you're racing or jumping obstacles, which are 2 mini games you can enter at any time from specific points on the map. The horse does have different speeds and you can increase how fast you're going, which I liked, but I don't know, I wish I could have jumped whenever I wanted to, you know? In terms of world, I love the vibe they went for, as every building or location had a distinct Barbie vibe to it, which is exactly what I wanted to find in here. Also, I really love the diversity in the game when it comes to NPCs. I spotted a person on a wheelchair, one of the NPCs I interacted with had vitiligo, and I liked spotting these details, especially because the game doesn't hint to them in any ways. It just feels natural, as it should be. And to me, that's an important part, which I was happy to find in this Barbie game. My criticism only comes from, again, the lack of depth in the world. You can't enter the buildings, there are just a few items you can click on, like the mailbox, and you can't really talk to all the campers who are walking around the park. And you can't interact with the animals who populate the place, not even with horses, which I considered a true missed opportunity. And I'm not talking about wild animals only, you know? At one point, I walked through the stable and there were horses inside and I couldn't even pet them or feed them from outside their fences. Anyways, I played the game with the highest settings, and what you're seeing in this video is all footage from my gameplay. Everything was rendering correctly and I didn't experience any lags or crashes, which I consider a win for the game as it doesn't demand insane performance from your computer. According to Steam, the game is also compatible with Steam Deck, which I definitely believe because the commands probably feel good on handhelds as well. I would probably rate the graphics a 6 out of 10. They aren't mind-blowing, but they also don't cost you on performance. The lack of depth I noticed in the gameplay also shows in here, with poorly animated NPCs and an abuse of set dressing. So it seems to be a recurring theme. You won't be crazy about the looks of your Barbies and your horse, but you won't hate them either. Okay, honey, so be prepared because this category is not a cool one. I am so mad at this category because I really feel that they could have earned some points, had they invested a little more in sound and music. Here's why. You do have the background nature noises, the chilled background music, the sound effects, and the character dialogues. But, honey, the standard is low. The background music, which is always playing in a loop in a terrible way, leaving seconds of silence between the beginning and the end of the track. And yes, it is one song and one song only. Just looping throughout the entire game. The music isn't bad and it doesn't drive you insane, but it's undeniable that a couple more tracks and a smoother loop would help making the experience more enjoyable.
All right.
My other big problem is that if you're betting so much on dialogue to occupy in-game time and drive the story forward, you need to make sure that the dialogue works. Literally, all my side quests had no dialogue. The NPC and Barbie were completely mute, with the only vocal character being my horse, who is constantly making this noise with this animation. Every single dialogue chunk you get, there's always gonna be a shot of the horse reacting this way. I mean, it's not bad, it just gets annoying, especially when you've been reading the lines in your head because there's no, audible recording, and suddenly the horse can't speak. This problem with the audio was definitely a turn-off because I wanted to hear those characters' voices and remain, immersed in whatever quest I was doing. Also, this NPC kept inserting Spanish and Portuguese words in her dialogue, and I couldn't really understand if it was a glitch or if it was intentional. But hey, while some characters had no voice, some other characters should have had less of a voice, because I swear to God, who in their right mind thought of putting this grown man moans in this game? Basically, if you're standing nearby blonde Barbie's father, and his name is Mr. Roberts, you will hear him moan and make noises, which honestly, why? That truly freaked me out, and I couldn't tell where it was coming from. And, I do not like to feel puzzled this way while playing a Barbie video game. Why did they even record this?
Barbie, over here.
So, honey, considering the creepy noises, the mute NPCs, and the looped music, I'm very sorry, but I will have to score this section a 4 out of 10. I know these are things that can be fixed with, a game update, and maybe they do not matter to all players, but I feel it was unnecessarily poorly executed, and for 40 freaking euros, that's an absolute disappointment. And this, honey, introduces us to our very last category, value for price. Like I said at the very beginning of this review, I feel that knowing the value of this price tag for this game is very important. I believe this price simply comes from the value that the Barbie IP brings and is not even remotely intended to reflect the quality of the gameplay. I have to say, if this game was listed for $19.99, I would have been a little more forgiving, but considering where they decided to place the game, the execution of it is just, it's not good enough. It feels like a simple money grab, intended to attract nostalgic players together with younger audiences. And it feels like an attempt at positioning Barbie video games in this world of cozy gaming without investing in the elements that make cozy gaming so attractive. Stuff like, an engaging story or an immersive soundtrack. I know that both the developer and the publisher of the game are companies focused on educational, family-friendly gameplay, and maybe my assumption that they were hoping to attract millennials is wrong. But even in that case, even in the scenario where this game is only made for children, I still believe the price is not justified. I'm not a parent, but my closest friends are, and I get to listen to their experiences. And honestly, if their kids asked me to try this game together, I would be so happy to make it happen for them. But even in that scenario, I would be stunned by the price of this game. I don't know. Whether you're trying to sell the game to kids, teenagers, to adults, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's not like a game for children needs to be underwhelming. Also, kids play video games, so they might notice things that are missing from the game that I may not have noticed if I were their age. Like, let's not underestimate kids as an audience. Also, I highly doubt they didn't even think of us nostalgic gamer Barbies, especially at Mattel's, when they commissioned this video game. In a world post-Barbieheimer, if you are Mattel, you cannot be ignoring the adults who still turn to you with tears in their eyes because they're very attached to one of your IPs. So, considering all of the above, I am very, very sorry, but my score on value for price for this Barbie video game is 2 out of 10. It's badly priced. It's not worth that kind of expense, whether it's an expense for parents to make or for individuals who are simply interested in playing the game. It's just not fair. So here are my scores by category, which allows us to calculate the average and reveal the final score for 2025 Barbie Horse Trails. We've examined gameplay, graphics, sound, and value for price. And the final score based on all that is 4 out of 10. Unfortunately, I think they had a good concept, but maybe it was too ambitious, or maybe they felt they could underserve because the audience is too young to notice. I was hoping to find a good game there, and I have to be honest, when I launched it and saw all the titles in this newer graphic and brighter colors, I felt excited because I would love to play a nice fleshed out Barbie video game that hints to the classic in a similar way as Barbie Horse Trail does, but that doesn't get scared to be ambitious in its execution. And honestly, one game that comes out with an honest price tag, is that so much to ask? If you were thinking to give it a try, or if you wanted to play it, I don't know, with your kids, with your nephews or nieces, your siblings, well, I understand that feeling, and my best advice is to wait to purchase it when on sale, because buying this game full price is just very, very unfair to your wallet. And you know what? Even better advice, honey. Just sail the high seas and snatch it. You will probably play it a couple of times, finish the story, and never launch it again unless you just want to roam freely with your horse, which is, it's definitely a good reason to play, but it's not a good enough reason to spend 40 euros on it, If you check online, the reviews for this game are also pretty depressing, with people complaining about the gameplay depth, the underwhelming animation, and mostly the high price tag for what the game actually brings to the table. It's very unfortunate this is how they decided to release this game, because considering the title and the legacy, they could have really built a cool experience for many players. But like I said before, a missed opportunity to do that, and also yet another example of how this trend of reviving old properties to use them as a cash cow is counterproductive. Yes, it may attract many people, especially compared to something that is not as evocative, of the original product these remakes stem from. But honestly, if now someone came up with like a cool, entertaining new Barbie game, I wouldn't care if it was a remake of Barbie, Swan Lake, or not. I would be interested because it aligns with the type of gameplay that I like, and this highly transcends age groups or generations, in my opinion. But you know, many companies don't even care to get it because profit seems to be the ultimate king, even in Barbie's world.